the Securities and the Exchange Board of India, the SEBI on 25 March 2017 directed the Reliance Industries Limited RIL to pay or return the illegally obtained money of rupees 444 crore with interest within 45 days. The SEBI said that the RIL had indulged in fraudulent transactions like insider trading. The SEBI further said that the offences related to the transactions carried out by the RIL in 2007. Therefore, with interest, the RIL will have to pay rupee 1,000 crore within 45 days. The rupee 1,000 crore is nothing for the RIL. It may be compared to rupee 1 in the hand of ordinary man. However, the RIL would not pay the money to the SEBI at all, lest it would have to or lest its entire assets would be classified as ill-gotten wealth. The RIL would not allow the condition to exist. The RIL has informed its decision to appeal to the appellate tribunal. After many years, the case would reach the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India might ultimately bury the case in its backyard, as happened in the case of the so-called Neera Radia case. The reason for there are many reasons for this conclusion. The alleged offence took place when Mr. Ramalinga Raju of Satya Computers were arrested for insider trading. Mr. Ramalinga Raju was not only arrested before and after the judgment by a court, but also all his assets were confiscated by the government. The government did not give even one piece of known land to Mr. Ramalika Raju. In the so-called Tansy land case, Ms. Jayalalitha was asked to surrender the Tansy land. The Supreme Court of India, in its order, asked her to surrender the land but did not give her any jail term. The offence was that Miss Jayalalitha bought the land while she was functioning as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. A code of conduct did not allow her to buy the public property. Then the disproportionate assets case against Ms. Jayalalitha, the trial court imposed a fine of over rupee 100 and awarded 4-year jail term. The case was related to disproportionate assets worth about 100 crore, rupee 100 crore. Here, the money involved is rupee 447 crore, but there is no jail term. When the then Prime Minister of India, Mr. A.B. Vajpayee, wanted to sell the public sector undertakings to the private parties, the present man said that the public sector undertakings would go to ill-gotten money or black money. In difference to that letter, in difference to the first letter sent by the present man, Mr. A.B. Vajpayee devised some guidelines for selling the public sector undertakings. According to one of the guidelines, the public sector undertakings should not be sold to any tainted companies. The tainted company was defined as one that received charge sheet from any law enforcing authorities or agencies. Thus, when the public sector Indian Petrochemical Corporation Limited, IPCL, was sold to the RIL, the present man said that the RIL had been a charge-sheeter company in an official secret act, section of the Official Secret Act. The matter was reported to the then Prime Minister of India, Mr. A.B. Vajpayee, and the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India did not allow the people to know the complaint. Even now, the people do not know the actual complaint against the privatization of the IPCL. Similarly, the members of Parliament had been issuing permits for petrol outlets for some time. They distributed the petrol outlets to the people of their constituencies based on some sound parameters. The sound parameters included handicapped persons, widows, ex-servicemen, neglected sections of the people, and so on. The final orders for the permits were issued by a retired judge of the High Court, any High Court. Therefore, the possibilities for ineligible candidates usurping the licenses are very remote. Yet, the Supreme Court of India, all on a sudden, cancelled all the petrol outlets sanctioned by the members of Parliament. However, within days, it secretly allowed the RIL to distribute petrol outlets all over India without following any law, any rule, any parameters or any code. Thus, the court proved that it could convert legal action into illegal action and vice versa. The so-called spectrum case and the so-called coal case were strikingly similar to the petrol pump outlet case. Large number of licenses were cancelled and the licenses were channelized to less than 10 people. In the so-called gas case, that is natural gas case, Mr. Anil Ambani submitted before a three-bench judge of the Supreme Court of India that his brother Mukesh Ambani got over $16 billion from a gas field apparently located in the Andhra Pradesh state. The Supreme Court of India merely said that the natural resources must remain with the government. It did not attach any teeth to their observation. The Supreme Court of India has not so far asked any competent authority to go into the veracity, to see the veracity of the submission. It has not even asked the government to audit the actual amount exploited and the actual amount shown. In the first letter sent to the Prime Minister of India on 1 June 2001, the present man mentioned another important point. The present man requested Mr. A.B. Vajpayee, the then Prime Minister of India, not to buy the shares of private companies or advance money to buy the shares of private companies from by the banks or the LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India. The Prime Minister of India, after a series of consultations, decided to use public money for large scale public investments. He openly asked the private industry to ride on large scale public investments by the government. But within days, the Supreme Court of India forced him to retract from that decision, forced him to withdraw or retreat or abandon that decision. There are records to prove it. Thus, the Supreme Court interferes in the economic policy of the government as and when the government does something in public interest. In fact, if the Prime Minister of India had been allowed to use public money for public investments, the present budget for the Union government would have been at least 4 times or 5 times higher than the amount shown in the year's budget. Why should the Supreme Court of India interfere in the economic policy, especially when the government does something in public interest, something for the good of the people? Why should it negate the positive things as and when it happen? The reason is simple. The learned judges of the Supreme Court of India are only slaves. How can the learned judges of the Supreme Court of India be slaves? After all, there are no people apart from them. Again, the reason is simple. The Supreme Court of India or the learned judges of the Supreme Court of India can see only the things shown to them by the TV channels and the newspapers. Similarly, the Supreme Court of India and the learned judges of the Supreme Court of India can listen to the newspapers and the TV channels alone. They cannot hear the words of anyone other than the sound of the TV channels and the newspapers. Therefore, they cannot receive anything from the citizen of India. For the same reason, all assets of the 10 men acquired by converting the learned judges of the Supreme Court of India into slaves are nothing but public assets. Anyone buying these public assets also would forfeit them. Anyone buying those public assets also would forgo them. They would have to surrender such assets. Thank you.